Hello, welcome to this latest news from the Matrix.
Yeah, they've never quite
Evan,
been on time though, really.
well, we were out and about and we were with friends, and I think we needed time for this to mellow.
Yeah, it's
S-
time to think about it and
so
such.
big shock, not really though, because I mean,
But kind of, because like the rumors actually leading up to only a few days before had been that the BBC were going to go with a male doctor. Like,
but I mean, you kind of at this point you wouldn't put it past them, is what I was doing.
I
You
wasn't
know.
surprised, but
Like, imagine if they'd done this back in, 2009 after David Tennant was a woman. That would have been way more of a shock.
that would have been a shock, and also possibly, like, I know this is a pretty angry reaction as it is, but that would have I think it exploded at that point, because, like, that had no build up. At least this has something. Like, there
They've
was build up.
basically groomed us, is what I realised.
Yeah,
They
pretty
groomed us with
much.
the Missy thing, and now they've hit us with
And
this. So,
Hellbent.
all of you guys listening are obviously wondering how we feel about this.
Hmm.
And to be honest, I am neither. I am neither against and neither for. I realised that when Doctor Who TV did a poll about are you happy about the casting, yes or no. I can't choose either. I have pros and cons for both, and I'm really not going to be able to tell until we see the episodes.
Mm. This could either
And
work or
also,
not.
same with the actual reveal trailer. I'm you know I'm a you know I hovering above the dislike and the like. I'm impressed that they're going forward and they're going to try it, and maybe like new is good, but then what is also wrong with tradition? There's this weird thing that everything has to keep, like, every part of it has to change. It's like, why don't we just change the exterior of the TARDIS next to be progressive?
Mm.
What, like, why won't that part change if everything else is going to change, What, like, people can't use an argument now on why the TARDIS exterior shouldn't change.
Hmm.
What argument do you have now that they've changed the biggest tradition of it being a male lead? You know? But on the
Yeah.
other hand, I believe that with a female, you can do kind of different characteristics to what you can do with a man, Like, she might completely handle a situation differently, and a woman getting angry in a situation against a Dalek would be really interesting to see.
Though we have
But,
had it with female companions before.
yeah, but I mean, it's not the Doctor. Like, there's going to be this kind of. There'll be a
Hmm.
different feel about it. I have some concerns, though. One, I think it has to be a male companion. Reason being is that the reason why is back, the reason why we had a female companion is, for females to connect to. That is the character which the females and the average viewer is supposed to, go through that path. But I think the problem is if they have two female leads, the female doctor and a female companion, I believe that's really going to alienate a lot of young, male children. I believe that could be a bit damaging there. So I think a male companion is kind of strongly the best decision that they can make at this point. And it will be nice to have, a human male companion, not the comedy. I liked Nardole a lot, I really did. But I think if they go with, like a Martha Jones kind of characteristic, but, a male, obviously his own kind of character, but, kind of that. And I don't really want a relationship thing to start with, because I think it would just confuse matters even more.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think there's positives and there's a few negatives. I'm more worried about what could happen to the show if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is what's going to happen. Episode 1 of Series 11 is going to have record high viewings. So many people are going to watch it.
I don't know if
So
it's
many people
record,
are.
but high.
It's going to be very, very high. It will be, one of the highest, because it's a big, big thing, this. But if episode 1 sucks, the nosedive in views is going to be incredible. It will plummet if it sucks. Like if it yeah. So basically, Chibnall has made a pretty tough job for himself. So I'm worried because if it does, and that does happen, what's going to happen to my favourite show? You know what? And that's why I'm gonna still watch it. I'm not. I think it's a bit silly. But then I can understand people, they liked how it was, And it's like, as I said yesterday, actually, as I was talking to Conrad, it's like, say you decorated your room and you had it exactly the way you liked it. And, you change it a tiny bit, but only, small bits. And then someone comes in and completely changes everything. You don't have to like it, Because, maybe because it's, someone's changed it so everything is up to date and what you like, what's popular, what the new trend is, but you don't have to like it. So all the people who were going, oh, you're sexist and misogynistic for not liking the change, that is not true. If some are, but not all. You can dislike the casting because of the change, and not be because of that. Maybe you just liked it for what it was, and you didn't want it to change that much.
Okay.
But yeah, I believe that it could work, but it's risky. It's risky.
I guess I'll throw my sense in.
Yeah.
In essence, again, we've been prepared for this. It's been building up to this. I don't know whether or not Moffatt actually knew this was going to be a thing when he wrote, say, Hellbent or something, but it feels like this was the way the show was going. Though, I'd have to say, I've been fine with a female doctor. I haven't had any issues with it, really. But I don't think it should have been now, to be honest with you. The show, at this moment in time, is kind of on fragile ground, with it kind of dropping in views, generally. As Nick said, next season, the first episode is going to make or break that, as it is. But, at this moment, I don't think it was quite right to have such a controversial move, which could either swing one way or another. I don't think it was quite worth the risk yet. I think they should have saved the female doctor for the second Doctor Chris Chibnall writes, because it's the start of a new era. It's kind of I know in some ways you could also argue that, well, it makes the show feel completely new and fresh for this new era, but at the same time it's kind of already started off with half a fan base kind of internally exploding.
It's alienated a lot of people.
Yeah, it has. It's really going to be up to how they promote it, and again, how the first episode happens, whether or not this makes or breaks it.
Even the first episode, the first 5 really have to be solid. The first 5 really need to, you've got to have 5 weeks of going, yeah, actually I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
But it also makes me think now, so are we going to have a few female doctors, or is it going to go back to a male and it'll be this weird kind of blip in the numbers, what's going to happen?
I think this really depends on how this season goes. If it is hated by viewers, not very critically well received, and it's just one of my things which I'm concerned about, because there's been a couple of series kind of pushed more of a kind of more feminist kind of agenda to this, and the show is basically the same, but with a slightly different, more feminine doctor, a female doctor. Then that's absolutely fine. I have no issues with that. The show continues on pretty much how it was from the last series, but with the criminal touch and with this new Doctor, then I have no issues. If the BBC, if they decide to make this suddenly a feminist pushing kind of agenda, I'm not going to be happy in the slightest, because my biggest fear with this, from the beginning, was whether or not they push this as a political thing, or whether or not this would be for the right choice. Because I believe truly that the casting,
don't know.
The casting should be because that person is right for the role, as opposed to for any real political thing. So Moffatt mentioned in the past that they'd offer the role to a black actor, and when that didn't happen, I think that was about when they cast Matt Smith in the role. You know, which shows to me, at least then, that they were doing it for the right reasons. That they thought they had the best actor, they turned it down, and we got Matt Smith at the end of the day. Like, Chris Daniels said from the beginning he wanted the female Doctor, which, okay, he wanted to change things up.
Yeah, that's
maybe
fair.
You can kind of understand that, but
I think also it will define his era if he pulls it off. That is the important thing.
Yeah,
He's got to turn the naysayers into, people who go, and can you go, yeah, you know what, we were wrong.
Some people, of course, will never like this is going to be.
Some won't. But then they are a bit. You got to at least try it. I think
there are two ways this could go. This could go a Star Wars route where it works out, it feels natural, and kind of blends into the universe naturally.
Yeah.
Or this could be Ghostbusters, where they completely destroy it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think also a problem is like. People were unsure about Matt Smith, but then they only had between The End of Time Part 2, which was January 1st, 2010, until like April the 3rd, 2010. That time gap for people to then, start watching the new Doctor. But this series 11, isn't going to be until, August, September. That's quite a while to wait.
That is. And
I think that will, like the Colin Baker era, if people don't like Jodie Whittaker's first scene, that
or the trailers
could murder it.
The trailers,
even her first, the last scene of, at the moment titled The Doctors, that could murder it. With that long to wait, because all that's going to do is sit and slowly brew.
Yeah.
And like over time you start to hate something even more the longer you've kind of it's been in existence. That could happen.
Yeah.
I hope a few female jokes that the Doctor's now a female, fair enough, right after he/she has regenerated. We might as well just call the Doctor it now. Like, after it regenerates and becomes a woman, I'm okay with, like, 1 or 2 jokes. But I don't want the crappy thing like, oh, I didn't notice. Like, come on, you'd notice, Like Moffatt would do, like, I didn't even realise I was a woman. Am I really? Like, come on.
That's true. I do realise, though, that we haven't actually been talking about the actress herself, Jodie Whittaker. That's because I don't think either of us are familiar with her work much at all.
I'm going to go watch Broadchurch, and then I'll have more of an opinion. I'm not going to comment on an actress that I know little about. I would have preferred someone a little older, as you said, but I think 35 is at least a decent age. Yeah, they went and she's got the short haircut, which I'm okay with. Yeah. Though she looks a lot like Kate Stewart. Just saying.
Yeah, I can see that. I was saying throughout, like, if they're going to have a female Doctor, that they should probably have somebody a decent way older. Yeah. Kind of a... Do an opposite William Hartnell, I'd almost think. Like, sort of, maybe... Just to kind of signal,
I'd say
yes,
more
this is a new
Troughton
thing.
Kind of thing, yeah.
This is, like... This is our... your older Doctor, and,
It'll be interesting.
Though
also,
35 isn't bad. Like, I'd say I was really worried after, I don't remember which channel it was, but they were like going, our insiders told us that, like, this one girl from a Netflix series is the new Doctor, and it's like, she's like 20? Like, first off, that's too young for a Doctor in any case. Like, 24 with Matt Smith was
only
pushing
just
it.
Okay, yeah.
And second off, like, with someone that young, like, they really wouldn't be able to... I doubt they'd be able to give Doctor enough vibes.
I don't think their talent would have enhanced enough.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Capaldi would have been able to play the Doctor as well as he could now, like, 15, 20 years ago. I think with age comes, knowledge of your craft.
I'd agree.
But 35, and she's done enough things. She's done Broadchurch.
Yeah. And from everything I hear, even with the naysayers, I think at least some of them I've seen, like, they question the female Doctor, but at least as her as an actress, I think they generally say,
Yeah.
decent enough actress. It could have been a lot worse, shall I? It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, she has confirmed that her costume is not the one which is seen in the thing, though.
So it won't be getting Little Green Riding Hood.
Yeah, though I quite like the coat she wore. I'm not gonna lie, I really actually quite like the kind of grey coat that she had. I didn't like the hoodie though, but the coat was cool. That I quite like. I think if they stick with the kind of, I think they need to keep it, not go over woman on it.
Yeah. Also,
it depends. Yeah, what are they going to go with? Yeah. It's crazy.
Also, can we talk about how cheap it was just to stick a 2005 publicity picture
of the TARDIS really? Yeah, I'm like, Christ's sake.
Like, you could have at least used a newer one. Why the, one that they were promoting during Series 1? I have quiz books with that exact same render from that era. It's like...
Yeah.
Come on, guys. A little more. Like, the teaser trailer you put had a decent budget seemingly put into it. It's like... You couldn't put the TARDIS in the middle of a forest for a day. Really? Really?
Yeah. I don't know. But, I mean...
And yeah, again, we could have got a lot worse. Like, who was it that was kind of coy about it? Was it
the
like
Phoebe, whatever?
Yeah, she just looked annoying. Like, if she was a doctor, I think the show would have burnt at that moment.
But, also I would say... she actually knows Matt Smith, Chris Eccleston, and David Tennant, so I think she'll get some good advice there.
Yeah.
But my main disappointment is actually how a load of people have reacted to this.
The fans, yeah.
And not even just fans, though. People who don't even watch the show giving, like, their opinion on, like, oh, I might actually watch it now. Like, if you're watching it or not watching it due to the gender of the main character, that is sexist. You know? If that is your only reason, you should watch the show because you actually like what happens in the show, not because, the gender of the main character. So people who were saying, like, oh, I might actually watch it now, you're just as bad as the people who were saying, oh, I'm not going to watch it anymore.
The one which I read, which was even worse, was like, oh, I don't like Doctor Who and never will, but, now that we get some salty white males on the internet, I'm happy. It's like...
It's
really?
Pathetic.
Really?
It is actually pathetic.
But at the same time...
the people who were saying, like, oh, we should gut Moffatt, like, this wasn't even Moffat's decision. Like, yeah, Moffatt was the kind of person who kind of pushed it so that could happen. But I think I actually would have preferred it without all this grooming. I think I would have just preferred it if they'd just done it without all this testing the water crap.
Although, again, it would have been more glaring, and it might well have, because, before this, I think you mentioned this to me, well, you brought up this point, but, it hadn't been introduced until the last, 3 years or so.
Yeah, also that annoys me. The other thing which annoys me, it's taken 54 years for it to become... The law about the Time Lords changing sex didn't, even appear until, 2011. Okay, guys? And, back in the classic era, it was a male Time Lord regenerates into a male, and females a female. And that's what it was.
And also, things are very much in the context of their time, so, changing genders in general, wasn't just so much...
was weird. It's still kind of odd. I'm gonna put it out there. It's still odd. I'm not against it, but it's still quite a strange concept,
Yeah, well, people... I believe if people feel, generally...
Oh, no, I totally, support it if people feel that's what, they want, but it is still, when you grow up and you're a kid, especially we were still in before the kind of transition, it's kind of only started becoming such a, thing, more recently, really.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the like to dislike ratio is pretty big on the video on Doctor Who at the moment. So we got 44,808 likes to 25,189. That's quite a lot of dislikes.
Again, it was always gonna I saw this reaction coming. I've seen this in other things, and the reaction you mentioned specifically about like the people bragging, which is like a pretty terrible thing, but also the other people have been pretty terrible as well. Like,
it's awful on both sides. It's
yeah,
really
no,
awful.
both sides of the spectrum have been pretty dreadful, and it's like people like us who are more in the centre are kind of just been like in the middle of this like screaming war, pretty much.
And that's why I just can't like or dislike. The only thing is I'm just worried. That is the only thing I am. I'm just worried that this isn't going to work. I want it to work. It is my favourite show. And if it, I don't want to see it collapse and burn just so I can do a cheap I told you so. Like, what kind of fucking fan would want that? So, I just think, basically, hundreds of thousands of people are quite pathetic, really, in terms of what they're doing and saying on both sides. Both sides.
Yeah, no, it's been a pretty dreadful thing to read. It just has been, but...
And yeah, I mean, I was in shock. I didn't jump for joy when it happened. I was like, okay, so yeah, they're going with it. Is it a gimmick? Because I'm sorry, the thing is we'll never know if it was a gimmick or if it was actually for the best actress. We will never know, and we will never find out. They can say what they like, but at the moment, the BBC is being pretty PC. But as long as Chibnall has always wanted a female doctor, like even from his teens, then fair enough. He's taken over the show, and I mean it gives it a lot more variety that both females and males can audition. But yeah, it's
anyone can be the Doctor now.
Yeah, but the thing is though, as I kind of asked yesterday, is like, what male role model is there now on TV played by an actual actor which isn't animated? Who uses words to get across their message.
Well, I mean, I think this is it's kind of a difficult question as it is, just purely because like Doctor Who is one of the few shows which is like shown on like BBC Ones, 2, etc., which isn't specifically targeted necessarily for any age. Like a lot of it you'll find just like sports or adult dramas in a lot of cases, or like specific CBBC shows. And we don't know CBBC shows, so we don't know anymore, so we don't know where that's gone.
I'm talking about the kind of teens, the older kids,
yeah,
to
but
like the teens.
There isn't a lot for them to begin with, to be honest, in terms of TV. Like,
but then surely this is removing the one few for...
Well, a lot of teens actually watch a lot of adult shows, in fairness, like... You'll find kids talking about Game of Thrones sometimes.
True.
No, it's like...
The Doctor's a good role model because he doesn't use weapons. He uses words and emotions,
Again,
And...
I'm sorry, continue.
I mean... The thing is there always has been the female companion. I don't care, like, oh, this is so important. The thing is this has already been happening for a while, females getting the leads of everything. It's not like this is the first show or, series to ever do it. I mean, look at Star Wars. The trailers freaking tricked us all. Everybody was like, oh, Finn's the new Jedi. It's a guy, of course. Boom, out of nowhere. And it was Rey. And you know what? Nobody gave a fuck. Only a small minority did.
It was, I doubt even... Pretty much, I don't think pretty much anybody.
I think really probably only like 0.5% of everyone who saw it complained.
The only evidence I got about people complaining was people saying that people were complaining, but I never actually saw the complaints.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't believe a lot of those people because they tried to push an agenda. So like,
yeah, I mean, half the people on Twitter were actually there were more people on Twitter complaining about people complaining than people actually complaining.
Yeah. That is true. But that was what they're going to do anyway. That's, like, I wouldn't be surprised if some of them were like, already posted the moment that the trailer came out, because that's just to push an agenda. That's just a one-up. That's just, regardless of whether or not it's actually happening, I'll one-up the other side, because we got to push this agenda.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad in that regard. I was going to say something, but I kind of lost my train of thought.
It's still quite mind-boggling, but I'm just very, I'm nervous.
In general, like, actually, there's another thing that got pointed out yesterday was like the BBC News. They were talking about like welcome to the 21st century. Like,
Oh,
it's like what?
yeah, they can fuck off, BBC
Doctor Who,
News.
in a lot of ways, was actually ahead of its time even from the start. Like, look at Barbara the Story like the Aztecs. Like, it was already pushing for strong female characters right from its very conception. It had a female producer, the first of its kind, from the very beginning.
And
like,
a gay Asian director.
Yeah, it's never been bad on its representation of women. Like, I know people characterise like the show for like screaming women going into danger and such, but that was really like, if you look at the grand scale of the amount of companions, you can classify 2, maybe 3 in that category. Like, not even a big majority of that can be classified under that. And, you know, they gave way to a lot of very strong female characters. I don't think that it's ever been bad. I don't think it's been bad in the modern era either. If anything, it's just kind of increased, sometimes to excessive degree.
Excess,
Clara.
like Clara, yeah.
But, you know, it's like, all these people going like, well, you know, it's about time, and oh, why weren't they representing females? It's like,
Shut
dude,
up.
from the very beginning, it's always been like more, you know, very much a good
female focus. I mean, Rose was the main character in series 1. If you watch it, you spend more scenes with Rose than the Doctor, I think, if you actually tally them up.
It's her arc towards Bad Wolf.
So, there you go. Conrad and I are gender neutral. I thought it was quite a good play on the situation, but yeah. So, thank you very much for listening. Please respect our opinions. I'm pretty sure we'll get your opinions below, no matter what. And you know what? We respect
may be
them,
a bit too late, so I don't know.
but please don't be like, you know, you're not going to watch it and not give it a try. Just at least watch episode 1 and want to like it. You know, if it is really your favourite show,
or at least neutral.
You need to at least want it to be good. That's what you want. If you're hoping for it to be bad, then is it really your favourite show? You know, like, would you hope for Game of Thrones next series to be bad? You know, like, you wouldn't hope for something you love to be bad, or you're just really kind of fucked up, really. to be perfectly honest. So yeah, I think it could be good.
I think that. Yeah, I'd agree with most circumstances, unless it's like to an extreme, like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, well, that's because they just weren't listening.
Well, that wasn't even about women. That was just because the trailers looked terrible.
Yeah. But yes, so, you know, respect our opinions, respect each other's opinions. Try and keep it calm and casual, you know. We're neither for or against, you know. I kind of like the tradition, but maybe doing something new is good, and it will be an interesting take. I'm more just worried about how everyone else is going to receive it and what is going to happen to the show.
Yeah.
Those are my main concerns. I'm not bothered about it being a woman. That isn't my concerns. My concerns is how good it's going to be written.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are going to just make it a feminist agenda, and if they're just going to make women jokes all the time. Because I'm sorry, as a guy, that's going to really alienate me.
I really, really hope they don't go that way, and I have a bit of faith in Christian, but if not, they got to know that, like, I presume that a majority of the fan base is male. Like, I think that's a fair assumption.
When you look at our YouTube channel demographics, it's about, like, 92% male who watch, or, like, 85. It's, you know, our larger demographic is a male-based fandom, you know, for us.
Yeah, and I think that would generally be the case, at least with the vocal. Like, there's a ton of female Doctor Who fans, don't get me wrong, but I think on the balance of things, it probably is a bit more balanced on the male side of things in terms of the fan base. I'd say, just looking at, from what I've seen, I don't have any numbers to prove this, but, you know.
They need to not alienate
they can't.
men. Like they did in the Ghostbusters movie. It was very, very much just making jokes at men's expense, basically. I did find it quite insulting at times. Some bits were funny, but some bits were quite
Yeah,
insulting, really.
especially considering, again, it's like that fan base was a very dedicated fan base, and they decided to go and alienate them and call them sexist, and that ultimately led to the film failing
Which
because
is
most of the
what's
fan
happening
base wanted
here.
it to fail because they were rude to them. Basically, they'd shove them out. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, they're not going to listen to you. You're no." It's like, okay, even if it's old women, fine. Well, first off, it don't need to be a reboot, and second off, you don't go around like calling everybody who criticises the movie sexist and misogynistic. Like that's the worst thing you could do with an audience which has a large male following.
Yeah, so they need to be careful not to alienate. So that's our advice to you, Chibnall. Don't alienate, don't overjoke.
Well, I don't think that'd be
just
even on him.
concentrate on the adventures. You know, what does it actually matter? Like
Yeah.
back in the classics, like it was just the way he handled a situation or the joke he made slightly changed. That's it. I don't want massive, an entire episode just based around women or something, or just pushing it, they got to be smart.
Yeah. Actually, one interesting thing sorry. Actually, I'll let you finish. Sorry.
I think we should wrap it up soon because we've been going for about half an hour.
I know.
So
Just one quick thing is that I'm kind of hoping to see this because I think it would be an interesting dynamic. But
definitely.
if they bring the Master back to being male, I think that could be quite an interesting dynamic, especially considering how we just had it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think they need to go back to a man would be pretty
a male
solid.
master and a female doctor would be actually quite an interesting kind of thing to see.
Especially as they've done it the other way just now. I think
Missy Kane kind of a bit flirty at the beginning,
and
but like
definitely do not do the Daleks in the first 5 episodes.
Please.
Please don't.
We know they're going to be somewhere, but not first 5 episodes.
The finale.
Or
brand new
era. Or if they don't want them in there much, just a cameo, like they did in series 5.
No. They definitely need her fighting the Daleks in this.
Well, I don't think it's necessary to have them in the first season. I don't think it is a necessary thing to do, especially considering we've.
I think it will be more smart if they did do so. Because as you say, it's never really the Doctor until they fight the Daleks. But then Moffat took it to the extreme and put the Daleks in Matt Smith's 3rd story or Peter Capaldi's 2nd story. Like, at least with Christopher, Eccleston, he had 6 episodes.
Though in fairness, at least they're not the villain of the finale.
Would have Dalek been as impactful at episode 2? No fucking way. No fucking way.
No.
It's gotta be later on.
Though I also hope that they don't continue to be in every finale because they did get a bit silly in the Russell T Davies era.
Oh yeah, they did.
Build up. What's it gonna be? Oh, it's the Daleks again.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we'll see you at some point. We're working on the next batch of reviews.
Yep.
Girl, not boy. We can't really say boy anymore.
Well,
yeah,
that's not going to stop us.
Yeah. Boy!